Hi, so before I start today's video, I just want to say that if my voice is a bit muffled or I sound a bit weird, it's because I went to the dentist yesterday and they tortured me there for a while and I'm still in a lot of pain. As you can see, my cheek is a bit red if you can tell by the camera, but I will power through it, and when I'm done I will go find a nice place. Today's video is all about suicide. A lot of people have become interested in suicide since I posted my suicide attempt video, which I think is absolutely brilliant. A lot of you also want to know how I feel about people who talk about suicide in the public and how I feel about what they say about mental illness. A lot of people think that suicide is a cowardly thing to do. But to me, what's cowardly is treating people so badly that they want to kill themselves. If maybe instead of treating them so badly and offered them help and support and comfort, then maybe they wouldn't feel the need to commit suicide. A lot of people think when they hear the word depression, self-harm, anxiety, or any other type of mental illness, they say, oh, for God's sake, just get over it. And they blame the individual for having a mental illness, not the mental illness itself. They think it's that person's fault solely instead of the actual illness's fault, which I think is ridiculous, because it's just ridiculous. You can't help getting a mental illness like you can't help getting a physical illness. Sometimes it just happened. I read something from a mental health blog that was on a billboard for the Suicide Prevention Week. It said, imagine if you got blamed for having cancer. And also, you'd never just say, it's just cancer, get over with it. So why say that about mental illness? And I think that is incredibly spot on. It's true, you know, you don't just say, it's a broken leg, get over it with it and walk. You don't. It takes sometimes physical therapy or having a cast on it and weeks of not using your leg. And mental illness is the same. Instead of weeks, it takes years. Sometimes you need a cast as in like therapy. And I just think people need to stop judging people for having a mental illness and help them instead. A lot of people ask me, like, when did you know you wanted to die from suicide? And I'm going to tell you now that I don't believe you die from suicide. Yeah, your physical being sort of dies from suicide, but your mental side dies a long time ago, way before, from sadness. I died a long time ago before I wanted to commit suicide. I was just a shell of the person I was. I was in constant pain. I hated everything. My soul, my heart, all those things had died a long time ago. My mental side had just died. I was just simply waiting for the physical side to catch up, and that's what I sort of think is suicide. It's your physical side catching up with the death of your mental side. When you try to commit suicide, it changes you. Once I'd taken the tablets and was waiting for death to come, you know, I didn't know then I was changing. You know, it wasn't until hours later when I had thrown up the pills and was cowering in my bed, crying my eyes out, I realised that I'd changed, because the day before, I didn't know I was capable of taking my life. I'd like to think that I was, because I'd planned it all, but I had no idea that I could do it. But then just 24 hours later, I had tried it, and effectively, I had done it. I'd swallowed my tablets and I was waiting for death. Just at the last minute, I decided, thanks to Glee, that I wanted to give life another go. But that changes a person, knowing that you are capable of taking your own life. It sort of thrusts upon this huge power on you that you don't necessarily want. Because even today, I still live with the fact that if I wanted to, I could kill myself right now, right here. And that absolutely terrifies me. And I'm pretty sure that it terrifies my family as well. Every time they leave me alone, thinking, is she going to do something stupid when I'm not here? So knowing that you're never going to go back to the person you were, because you now know you can do it, is an incredibly hard thing to have to accept. And knowing even today that I can do it still terrifies me. I still get very, very nervous when I'm going to be alone for long periods of time, because when you're alone you think, and right now my thoughts are not something that I want to have to think about, if that makes sense. A lot of people have been wondering how I've been coping since I posted the suicide videos a few weeks ago, and as some people pointed out, I didn't say how I was doing in the last video, so I am sorry for that. But I am doing okay, I think. I am seeing my doctor more regularly, which I think is a good thing, because I think I need the extra support right now. I am trying not to think so much, and I am distracting myself by watching as many DVDs as possible when I'm alone, because when I think my thoughts, I get sucked into them, and right now they are too dark and deep for me to be able to be pulled right back, to pull myself out of them. When I had done the video, as I said, I hated the knowledge that it was going to be in the public, and I had been asked by my family and doctors to take the video down because it was causing me so much physically and mental pain, knowing that other people were living my worst time of my life. And it is today even really quite scary, knowing that someone could be watching my thoughts of how I wanted to kill myself right this second, and it terrifies me today. But I said that I couldn't. A lot of people would have seen it already, and that I was doing it in honour of Suicide Prevention Week, and that if me doing this video is going to help someone else not commit suicide or get some help or get the word out about suicide, then it's worth my mental pain for a while. As I said in the post-suicide video, when I talked all about my suicide attempt, that it brought all those horrible feelings back, and I still have them today, and it's sort of a huge test to how far I've come along and how stronger I am now, because I am already living right now all the pain and horribleness that I've been going through lately, plus all my past, and now I've got the worst moment of my entire life is now in my head, and that moment and all those thoughts and feelings are what wanted me to commit suicide in the first place. So now they're in my head again, and I've sort of got to relive that moment of wanting to kill myself, but I've got to stay alive this time. I've got to want to stay alive without trying to commit suicide, and it is incredibly painfully hard. I can see myself swallowing the tablets, what I was exactly thinking, knowing how well that was perceived afterwards. I've got those thoughts with me, and it's incredibly hard, and it's not really a pleasant journey that I've got to now go through, but I'm willing to do it because, as I said before, I didn't want to be known as a girl that gave up. I wanted to be known as a person that fought like hell, and if I tried again now, I would be known as the girl that gave up, and that is not good enough for me. A lot of people have asked, how do you cope being labelled as a person with mental illness? And to me, no offence, that question annoyed me a bit, because I'm not my mental illness. I am Chloe. But yeah, I have a mental illness, but I am not known for my mental illness. Like, if you have cancer, you are not known as cancer. You're not labelled as cancer. You're known as your name and who you are. So why should having a mental illness become your label? A lot of people do see you as you have mental illness, and you get judged a hell of a lot. For every, anything that's said in the public about mental illness, 9 out of 10 times it'd be negative, and that one positive thing they said isn't even that positive. And it is incredibly sad that a lot of people see mental illness as this crappy thing that isn't worth their time, and it's for stupid, pathetic people, which I think is just incredibly wrong. When people find out that you've tried to commit suicide or even self-harm, you know, they think you're pathetic, or you're attention seeking, or that you're weak and that you can't handle life, and that you're also very stupid for doing that to yourself. And it makes you feel that's basically saying you're worthless. And instead of offering to help you, they're just judging you, and you have this pile of crap that you're dealing with, and then you have all these other people's judgments that they say once they find out, and it's even bigger than the crap you're dealing with. That isn't going to make you want to stop trying to commit suicide and get better. That's just giving you more reasons to commit suicide. I think people need to think before they start spewing judgments about mental illness. All it takes, you know, when someone is literally hanging off a cliff, all it takes is that one negative comment to just tip them over and they're gone. When all these judgments are coming out, you are handing somebody a rope to hang themselves with. It's just pathetic. And instead of saying that, you either shut your mouth and don't say anything, like my mum used to say. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Or offer help. Mental illness is sort of a big bubble, if you think about it, of illnesses. And it sort of branches off into many different types of those illnesses. And people who have a mental health, they're all in, you know, we're all in the same game. We're all in the same bubble. We're just in the different levels of it. But we have to deal with the same types of pain and sadness and hell. We have to deal with the same hell, but we're just fighting different devils. We're fighting different devils, you know. I'm fighting depression and anxiety and all that lot, but someone might be fighting grief, someone might be fighting anxiety, someone might be fighting schizophrenia, someone might be fighting bipolar, but it's all the same. It's just we're in different levels of it. And I think in that sense it's amazing, because it shows sort of how big a deal mental illness is. When people hear mental illness, they think of freaks and depression, and they think of attention seekers and pretty horrible things. But when you take it down and you realise all the different branches of mental illness, you realise it's this huge problem and has many different types of illnesses, and it really does need help. It really does need support, and it really does need people to get behind it and offer their help. Thank you very much for watching and supporting the group. It seems to gain more followers and followers every day, and I'm just impressed every time I click on the link and see how many more have joined since I looked the previous hour. So thank you very much. I will continue to blog again this week. Also, the next video vlog that I will be doing might be a bit later than next Saturday, because next Saturday the 11th happens to be my birthday, and I'm on a day out to see Disney on Ice, so I won't be able to film and edit the video, so it'll be a bit later than usual, but I promise I will still do a video. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.